Hello, everyone. Welcome to Canadian music in the 80s and 90s and more, eh? I hope you like what you see. Please subscribe if you can. This would be more the more thing. I usually interview artists, musicians, and radio hosts and much music DJs, but this is kind of interesting. I've got a photographer, Richrd Beland. I'm going to try and pronounce it right. You've got a You've got a gallery thing coming. Actually, it started already on the weekend, but it's going till the end of November, from what I've read.
Yeah, it's going to be up until November 29th.
And it's going to be just a gallery of some of your best pictures, or did you choose some of the picture or all of them, or?
Well, the gallery owner, his name's Brian Liss. He's kind of the curator, so he definitely helped me narrow things down. I've been shooting since 1986, so I have quite a catalog of images, and for me to kind of figure out what 60 of them are going to go on the wall, I needed some help with that. So Brian, he kind of steered me in the right direction. But there's about 60, maybe 61 photographs up on the wall right now.
Awesome. Sounds like it's going to be quite the display. I wish I could get down there to do it. Maybe I'll have to move it across the country and
Oh,
do
I'd
it
love
in,
to.
do it
Yeah,
in
if anyone's
gallery.
listening wherever, I'd be happy to put it somewhere else afterwards.
That'd be amazing. Yeah. So you got started in 1986. What was the first band your artist that you actually shot?
The first big thing I photographed was July 4th, 1986. Easy to remember because it's America's birthday. And it was the Grateful Dead, Bob Dylan, and Tom Petty at Rich Stadium in Buffalo.
Oh, wow.
And two of those photographs are on the wall, and two are in the book I have coming out. Um, and that was the very first thing, and that was the one show that just kind of got me hooked on it and thinking, wow, this is kind of cool. This is something I could be doing.
That's a big show to get your first big start in, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually have a press pass. Back then, I knew quite a bit about the Grateful Dead, and I'd always heard that they weren't too fussy about people audio recording. And I thought, well, if you can auto record, why can't you photograph? So back then, in '86, that's before they had all this airport security and everything at concerts. I just walked in with my camera. I was discreet about it, but you didn't have to go through extensive lengths to get it in there like you would now, if you could even manage. And I just got some shots from the crowd, but I had a decent spot up close on the floor. And I came home and had some really good photographs. And I thought, oh, now I have a document of something of a show that I was at, and they're my own photographs rather than looking through a magazine or a newspaper afterwards.
You since you started in 86 and you're still going at it quite a bit today from you've seen the changes in technology and taking photographs, I guess. You probably started in the film days.
Oh
Um
yeah, big time.
and
It,
you've moved on to obviously you're on to the digital cameras and stuff now. Is it easier now than it was back then?
yeah, everything is easier, but to some degree, it was more fun with film.
Yeah.
Because you had to choose the right film based on the shoot. So you had to anticipate what type of film you wanted to bring and what speed of film you wanted to bring. Um, yeah, just decide if you're shooting black and white or color. Now you have that option in post-production really easily. Um, and then there was that thing about just the click of the film. And, nowadays I could shoot 700 shots in a concert, whereas with film, it was 36 rolls, 36 frames on a roll. So just for easy math, if you shot 10 rolls, which I probably never did too often, that's only 360 frames in a whole concert. So things have really changed, and it made you be a shooter that thought a little deeper because you had to make sure that you always nailed your exposure. You had to nail your focus, and you had to make good photographs. You couldn't burst or you'd run out of film right away, right? So it required a different skill set than it does now. Um, so in some ways it was more fun with film, and there's a real warmth about film also. And I always like going in the dark room and making my own prints. I printed all my own contact sheets. I didn't develop my own film often. I did develop black and white in the beginning, never ever color. But I rented a dark room a lot, like a lot.
Right.
I go there 3 days a week even and spend 6 hours in the dark room just printing because I loved it, and I truly miss it now. I still do digital printing, but maybe I shoot film once a year now.
Because I know there, I remember when I was still in Ontario, there were some niche shops that actually still sold film
They still do. Yeah, there's
and
one
still
in London.
develop film. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
there was one in Burlington, I remember.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still ones around, but there is a market for it now. And some art photographers are going towards film. Yeah.
Right. So, what I was reading is that you've shot a lot of bands over the years, but you did a lot of work with Canada's greatest band, the Tragically Hip. How long did you follow them around and get pictures with them?
Well, I started shooting the Tragically Hip in 1993. I saw them a few times before. I saw them in 89. I saw them in 91. But I didn't photograph them until 1993. And that first show was in Belgium. I was in Europe working at the time. Um, and they were on a big festival uh, with Metallica and Neil Young and the Black Crowes and Faith No More. Uh, I can't remember who else right now. Anyway, they were third from the bottom. So that was the very first time I photographed them. And the festival was 2 nights in a row. So I shot both nights. And then I came home from Europe. Uh, and then they played the Markham Fairgrounds for another roadside attraction, which I also photographed. And so that was my first 3 times. And then I photographed them a few times, every album up until 98. And then 98, it kind of started into something bigger. 98,
Yes.
99.
So you were there almost at the beginning of their career in a way, like kind of when they were really taking off.
Well, yeah, I saw the very first show. They played the Fan Shop Pub back in 1989. I was studying mechanical engineering at Fan Shop, and they played the pub there. So my buddies and I went to that show. And then in 1991, I saw them at the Ontario Place Forum two
Hmm.
nights in a row on the Road Apples tour. And then I also saw them at Maple Leaf Gardens that year. They opened up for Rush on the Roll the Bones tour
Hmm.
or the Hold Your Fire. I forget, one of those two tours in 1991. So yeah, I'd seen quite a bit even before I'd photographed them. And then once I locked in, then, I saw them a lot. I photographed them over 100 times now. I don't know the exact number anymore, but it's up there. Yeah.
Did you develop a repertoire with them over the years?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I did album artwork for him and publicity work. I photographed Gord's the photography for his solo record, Battle of the Nudes. Um, I was just emailing with Rob a couple weeks ago about something. Uh, so yeah, I for sure it was a working relationship. Yeah. I photographed some shows in Europe where, it was a little bit easier to get to talk to them there because the shows are still big over there, but they're not as big as the NHL hockey arenas over
Right,
here. So
right.
there's a little easier to get to them. But yeah, I'd say you definitely developed some sort of rapport with them, and it's not like I went to barbecues or anything, but I definitely kept a good working relationship with them right up until the 2016 tour.
Did you shoot a lot on that? Did you shoot anything on the final tour?
I was at 9 shows for the final tour. I think there were 16. I was at 9 of them, including Kingston.
Because I heard they were kind of keeping a lot of stuff to a minimum on the tour, like they had the obviously the documentary crew following them around, but I heard they were I don't know, maybe I was wrong, but maybe I heard they were kind of keeping a lot of that to a minimum. So
Well, I think they had it more restricted for sure. Um, but there were press photographers there. I remember 6 or 7 every night anyway. But it was a 3 song thing. Um, but those shows were great. I watched all the shows and yeah, it was a beautiful moment. As sad as it was equally beautiful as well. Yeah. You,
yeah, I've always talked about how that year um to me was the worst year of Canadian music because we lost three of the greatest bands in Canada. We lost the Tragically Hip, Rush, and I count them in there, Spirit of the West,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
because
for sure.
they all had to stop touring because of the illnesses in the band.
Yeah.
And I put Spirit of the West in there as much as those two bands as well, because I think they were as important to Canada as Rush and the Hip were. But
Yeah.
that's
Always loved
just
Spirit of the West and photographed them a couple times too.
and
Yeah.
all the three guys are gone now, which makes it even sadder. It's probably a level of Canadian music we'll never see again, isn't it?
Oh, geez, the late 80s, early 90s was phenomenal for Canadian music. It was just as potent of a time as what grunge music, out in the Northwest was going through, and Britpop. When you think about
Right.
what was happening over in England with Oasis and Blur and Pulp and that kind of stuff. So there was kind of three pockets of extraordinary music, and we certainly were one of them, whatever you want to call it, can rock or something in the early 90s, right? When you think about the Watchmen and Sloan,
Yeah.
man, you just go on and on and on. I
Pure
Mother Earth and Our Lady Peace and Moist and oh,
5440 was breaking out.
5440. Man,
Yeah,
they're
they
still doing it though. Those guys love them.
yeah. So it's obvious you're a big fan of music as well because you keep because of what you've done. Um
Yeah.
and have been for a long time. So you actually I read you did the two Woods the recent Woodstock one.
Yeah,
Uh
I was at Woodstock 94 and 99.
and were you scared at 99? Because I heard it got pretty out of hand.
I wasn't scared. I was irritated. Let's call it that,
Right.
agitated. The Tragically Hip were amazing, as everyone knows, and they really brought that real Woodstock spirit because 94 was great. 94
Yeah.
rained a lot, so it was super muddy, and we were camping, and uh, it was obnoxiously muddy, but it had that spirit. And then
Yeah.
99, it was just everything that you've seen in the documentary or you've ever read. Is from my perspective, it was true. I wasn't scared. I was so annoyed that we eventually left on Sunday. I got some photographs of the fires, and then we left. And as a photojournalist or a photo documentarian, I kind of wish I would have stayed now when I look back. But at the time, I was just so disappointed by what people were doing. My buddy and I were just like, let's go. Let's get out of here. This is terrible. And so we split. And yeah, 99 was a drag. And, what really got me too is like I photographed a lot of festivals in Europe over the years. Shot the Glastonbury Festival 11 times. And it's just beautiful. It's peace and love and great
Yeah.
music, and everyone's so nice to each other. And then Woodstock 99 was like the antithesis of all of that. It was kind of brutal, except for the hip.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's not fair. There were other great bands, but the
They did
hip
have
was
a
awesome.
Canada Day there, didn't they? Didn't they have like a Canadian morning or day there or something like that? Weren't the Hip and
Well,
Big Sugar playing?
yep, Big Sugar. I photographed Big Sugar there. I think Alanis was there. I
Hmm.
don't know if it was like a Canada Day. Oh, Our Lady Peace was there. Um, I can't, I'm sorry, I don't remember if it was actually one day for Canadian music, but there were a number of Canadian bands.
Good to see that we were represented there. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. You know,
um,
there were just the wrong bands. Like I like Metallica and I like Red Hot Chili Peppers a lot. But it didn't work. And that was the wrong music for that place and that
right.
festival and that temperature. It was blinding hot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Canada puts on better festivals too. So, um, like
Well,
Edge, I remember Edge Fest was a big one back in the 90s and stuff like that. And
and were you at Eden Fest in 96?
I was not, but that was one
Oh,
I would have loved
it
to
was
have gone to.
glorious. And the Hip
Um,
headline one of the nights, I forget which night. The Cure headline one night. Yeah, it was great.
did you do any of the SARS stock concert?
I shot the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that must have been something to be at as well.
Yeah, that was extraordinary. This I love the Stones and AC/DC, so being close to those guys was great. But Sam Roberts, the Tea Party, Sass Jordan,
Jeff
uh,
Healey played that too, didn't he?
I
I thought I
don't
remember
think
Jeff Healey. I thought I
so.
remember. Maybe I could be wrong, but I know
Guess Who,
Rush kicked it too.
Rush were great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super hot too. And I wasn't out in the crowd, so I talked to a lot of my friends who were out in that crowd, and they liked the music, but they hated the crowd because you had
Yeah.
to wait forever to get anything. I was very fortunate. I got to come in on the train. They brought a train in to bring the press and the bands,
Mhm.
and it was air conditioned, and so
Yeah.
yeah, I had it. I was pretty well set up, and I admit that I had it pretty easy compared to other people.
Yeah, because I've heard some people it took forever for them to get home from that and stuff like that. Like just
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that many people in my life in a concert setting, but that was quite a gathering. But I also read that you've had quite a few publications publish your photos, Rolling Stone, Kerrang. Um, if there's any more I'm missing, please. please let me know.
Oh, Spin magazine and a
Yeah.
lot of the Canadian magazines. I did a lot of work for Chart and Access and Impact and Network and Exclaim. Uh, so I started shooting in 86, like I was saying, but I started working more at it in about 92, 93, and then I graduated from photography in 94. So from 92, 93, 94 on, I've been, you know, deep into it. I've shot around 3,000 concerts now, and I've done hundreds of photo shoots. So I've been very busy. I've always been a keener, like I really like doing it. Even I'm going to be 58 in November, and even last year I shot 84 shows, so I'm still keeping very busy. I continue to do work with Nickelback. We do publicity and album artwork together.
Mhm.
So I still keep busy, busy, busy. Um, and so back in 92, 93, I used to photograph for this agency. A stock agency is kind of like if anyone doesn't know what it is, it's like a library of images. So
Mhm.
back then, before digital, it literally was physical images, photographs, slides, little transparencies. And so I worked for this agency that Ken Tizard, the bass player from The Watchmen, set me up
Mhm.
with in England. And they were called Syndicated International Network, and they would give me loads and loads and loads of work. So I would give them my images, and then they would get them published in magazines around the world. I had stuff published in
Right.
Japan, Australia, and things that I wouldn't have access to on my own, but they had this network all over the world. So my photos
Wow.
literally have been published in hundreds of magazines thanks to that agency.
Wow, that's a big thing to have when you're trying to make living, I guess, to have that kind of.
Especially when I was like 20 years old or 21 years old. And as a freelance photographer, you have these different streams of income, and that's
Right.
just one other stream of income, right?
So you have done some album work, like you said. What albums? What would you have seen some of your pictures in?
Well, with the Tragically Hip, my work is in the In Violet Light album,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it's in Gord's solo record. And I have a bunch of the CDs over on my CD rack here. And I have some stuff in the reissue of Fully Completely. Uh, Your Favorites, I have photographs in. And then I did stuff with other Canadian bands, Not by Choice. Um, Geez, I'm trying to see them all now. Oh, I did a bunch of work with Jason McCoy.
Okay.
Econoline Crush, I saw that you had interviewed Trevor the other day.
Hmm.
We did one of their records in the 90s.
Oh,
Yeah.
Johnny Reed, I read. You did some work with Johnny Reed.
Yeah, I went down
Yeah.
to Nashville and we did his Kicking Stones album, and I was nominated for a Canadian Country Music Award
Oh, that's amazing.
for that work. That was a good shoot. We went to this they brought us, he did, or maybe somebody from his record label brought us this old Prohibition era house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they used to hide alcohol in the basement or whatever. But the walls were all peeling wallpaper, and so it had this really beautiful look in the building.
Yeah.
And we used that as the backdrop, and we got some really cool stuff. And then we went out to, I don't know if it was Johnny's farm or some farm anyway, and we did some stuff, that kind of looks typically country. But he's a great guy to work with too, Johnny Reed.
Oh, sounds like you've had quite a. Oh, it's an awesome career. That's why when I got this press release from Eric, I was like, man, I have to interview this guy. This is great. Because this is, you're not a musician, but you you've been around the industry so long, and some of the, it's just amazing. I bet if anyone really wants to, they've probably seen your work.
I think if you're especially into Canadian music, you've come across it just by default at some point.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a little bit hard to avoid at this stage. And then, I've been the house photographer for Fallsview Casino in Niagara Falls.
Hmm.
And prior to that, I was at Casino Rama for 7 or 8 years. And then I've been over at Niagara Falls for maybe 15 years. So I've shot, I don't even know, 1,500 shows or something between the two venues. So a lot of my work's been published there. And if you look on my Instagram, you probably see some shots in there that you might know or would know. Yeah, so I don't know. It's been a wild ride. I've had some extraordinary experiences over the years, and I continue to get them. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
I'll
good.
be putting some links in the description of this video on YouTube for anyone who's wondering. Please check those after it gets posted. Um, so, like, in terms of Fallsview Casino and Casino would just be pictures you take of the acts that are playing there, and they'd be hanging up on the wall. Like when people walk in, they can see, oh, all these people have played here, kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So over in Fallsview, they have a gallery outside the Avalon, one of their concert halls, and there's over 200 shots on the wall. And then backstage, they have about 100 black and white ones, which is really cool. And then I've been to Rama for quite a while now, but they have a hallway as well that's loaded with my photographs out in the public area and backstage. And it's kind of fun when you get there, when you see whatever band's playing there, they'll walk through the hallway looking at photos of their friends or whatever because they're pretty much killing time, right? And I've spent some time with various artists going through the photographs with them before, so it's always fun for me. And sometimes they want to talk. Certain artists like Graham Nash and Kevin Costner and Seal, uh, Don Felder. A few of them they work as or they are photographers as well. So every once in a
Okay.
while they'll say, "Oh, they want to talk to you," and I'm always up for a good photography chat with anybody.
No, that's
Yeah.
one of my favorite things of whenever I go to a show at casino. I love walking down the hallway and looking at every picture on the wall just to see who's been here and also to see how many times they've actually come back to those casinos because it seems to be quite a circuit for a lot of bands nowadays.
Yeah, for sure it is. And it's good. I mean, just recently I photographed the Cult, which I've always loved the Cult, and that was one of my first professional gigs. Actually, you can see the poster over my shoulder. That's from 1993.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
I shot Youngblood a couple weeks ago. A lot of country music. I photographed Avril Lavigne not that long ago. Yeah, it's great. Actually, my calendar's right here. Let me see what I have coming up. Um, America, Terry Clark and Paul Brandt. There's some Canadians.
Oh, yeah.
John Legend, Dean Brody, Matt Good and I'm Other Earth. The Rembrandts, Loeb and Crash Test Dummies. The Arkells are coming up. Matt Dusk is coming up. Yeah, there's it goes on and on. It's great. I'm 25 years in now there.
That's quite a cross section of artists too. Like it's just
Oh, it's everything. Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
they get a lot of comedians as well.
I was gonna say there's probably are quite a few comedians that play at the casinos now. I remember well there's a casino in Moncton, New Brunswick that my family and I do a year every year we do a trip out there.
Oh,
And
they probably get similar bands, right?
yeah, I'm not a casino person, but the hotel is connected to the casino, so the little hallway that goes from the hotel over to the casino, I look at every picture on the wall every time I'm there.
Oh, right on. Well, someone's got a good job out there too, because I can tell you it's fun.
Yeah, I think that I Mother Earth, the Matt Good thing is coming here to Charlottetown, actually,
Oh, right
if I'm
on.
not mistaken. So I'm hoping to get to go see that show. Um, but yeah, so you're going to you're going to be at the gallery on the 25th of October, and you're going
Yeah.
to
So this Saturday.
there's a book launch.
Yeah, there's an artist reception from 1 to 3 and 6 to 9. So if anybody wants to go, you have to RSVP. And here's the address right now. I'll say it slow in case someone wants to write it down. It's Brian Liss, Liss, at lissgallery.com. And if you didn't get to write that down, just Google Liss Gallery and you'll find the information.
Again,
Uh,
there'll be a link in the
oh,
description of
okay.
this video for
Yeah,
sure,
good.
and I'll do that for sure.
And
Um,
then, as you mentioned, my book launch, I put that right beside me so I'd have it handy. Uh,
awesome.
this is my first photo book. It's called Our Immortal Stars. It's volume one because I anticipate having a volume two,
Several,
maybe a
maybe.
volume three, because I've really shot so much. The book has 250 pages, hardcover, 250 pages. There's over 200 photographs. I should count the exact amount, representing 178 different bands. I wrote 27 short stories that are personal and professional anecdotes on different bands. Like there's one, let me see, there's one on Iggy Pop, for example.
Excellent.
Um, I just wrote stories about different things that have happened with that particular band or artist. And there's a lengthy introduction essay I wrote as well. And then there's a forward by Mike Stevens. Mike Stevens has the Order of Canada, and he's this incredible harmonica player. He does loads of extra work for, loads of work with Indigenous communities up in the north of Canada.
Okay.
Um, And then Mike was also a Grand Ole Opry musician. He's played the Opry over 500 times.
Oh,
So
wow.
we worked together a bit over the years, and he wrote the foreword. So anyway, that's the book. It's going to be on sale at the gallery, through the gallery as well.
Is there a way to order it online or anything like that, or
Yeah, you'll be able to order it through the gallery, or if somebody was interested, you could email Brian right at that address. He's taking care of all the sales. It's too complicated for me. I don't have a credit card machine or anything.
is there a chance it could end up in stores?
One never knows. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see, right? Maybe this could be like a demo, and I know there are some publishers coming that night, so you never know. But for now, it's right here on my desk and in some boxes upstairs, and they're all signed and numbered. They're numbered 1 through 200, so it's limited edition at the moment. Uh,
Excellent. And yeah, it sounds to me like you've been at it for a long time, so there definitely could be a two, three, and four coming out
well,
is somewhere
the
down the road.
the earliest photograph goes all the way back to '86, so it represents 39 years of my work, which is kind of cool. Um, and yeah, for sure, there's going to be a volume two.
Now, I
Yeah.
don't want you to give away the whole book without someone wanting to buy it. I would like to encourage anyone watching to buy it. Can you give me one short story from the book
Hmm.
that you might that is a favorite of yours, maybe?
Well, I wrote a story in here. Oh, geez, now I'm looking through here. I see a whole bunch. I wrote a story in here about Dolly Parton. Let me just, uh, and what happened with the Dolly Parton story is that, so I was backstage in the green room with my mother. I brought my mother to the show. It was her birthday, so I got her an extra seat, and I was photographing the show. And my mom and I were sitting in the green room, just the two of us. Suddenly the door opened, and I looked over, and it was Dolly Parton. And so Dolly walked right in the room, and now the three of us are there. So I jumped up and I said hello, and I said, "Oh, by the way," and I introduced myself and told her I was the photographer for the night. And I said, "Oh, this is my mother, and it's her birthday today." And right away, Dolly just walked right around me and walked right over to my mom. And she sat beside my mom and she asked my mom what her name was. And so they got in this little conversation. And then Dolly sang happy birthday to her with my mom's name in the lyrics.
Oh,
And
nice.
my mom had tears streaming down her face. And it was just the most beautiful moment that was completely unplanned. And I thought I was doing a great job bringing my mom to Dolly Parton for her birthday. Who could have ever imagined that the Dolly Parton would sing happy birthday for her? And then from the stage, there's 5,000 people there. Dolly said happy birthday to my mom again. And then when we were leaving after the show, I was parked out behind the backstage. So we had to go through the backstage again. And there was Dolly, and she gave my mom a good night hug again. And it was just a beautiful night. It was, excellent. And it really was a testament to how cool Dolly Parton is. Um, but how fortunate that I've been to be able to work in this industry and to have these occurrences, just, the serendipity of it all, the beautiful moments, right?
Like,
So there's one of the stories.
is that what it's like when you look at a book, when you put together like that? Like, do you just look back and go, "Wow, this has been an amazing ride"? Like, do you just pinch yourself and go, "I can't believe I've been able to do all this"?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I want to give myself a little credit because I have honestly worked very hard and
Hmm.
I toiled through the early years when it was mashed potatoes and craft dinner and there wasn't
Yeah.
a ton of money in the beginning. But you're right. I do, even more than pinch myself. I do my very best to live in the moment. Recently, Brian Liss said to me, Richard, you need to remember that these are the good old days right now. And I think I've been fairly good at living in the moment, but occasionally I get ahead of myself. And but by living in the moment, I'm aware that things are great and I'm very fortunate. And I found myself in some really incredible situations through rock and roll. And I've grown up with a pure obsession for rock and roll. So to be able to stand next to it so many times, I'm very grateful for it, for sure.
Congratulations, though, on all this, all on the gallery opening and the book, and I
Thank you.
hope it were anyone in the Toronto area get out and see that. I know if I was there, I would definitely be heading down at some time to see that because I'm a music nerd, so I would love to go see the pictures. And it's great to put a face with the photographer too, and speak with you about that kind of stuff because The stories are I'm a big fan of the stories. So, and there's stories from all angles, from like radio DJs to artists to managers to people like yourself taking the pictures, and so the stories are what keeps it alive, and I think makes it fun.
Yeah, right. Excellent. Yeah, I agree. And the pictures and the
Yeah,
music. Yeah. Yeah, we're fortunate we live in Canada with all this great music, you know? I
yeah.
guess probably every country has its own music scene to some degree, but I think Canada has something very special,
I
you know?
believe I believe so too. That's why I'm covering Canadian music because I've always felt Canadian music stood out.
Hmm.
I've always thought, when you hear Gordon Lightfoot sing, there's no doubt about who that is.
Yeah, no kidding.
When Geddy Lee or Gord Downie sing, you know who that is. They don't sound like anybody else you've ever heard.
No way. Yeah, you're so
And
right about that.
I've always felt that about British and Canadian artists. I've always felt they've had a distinct sound, whereas some American artists kind of all sound the same a little bit.
Mm,
But I've always felt Canadian artists always had something a little different, something that stood out a little more from the rest of the pack. So,
yeah.
but that's just my opinion. I'm biased because I'm Canadian and I
Yeah,
love
no
Canadian
kidding.
music. So, but
Huh.
Richard, I can't thank you enough for joining me. And like I said, good luck with everything. I'm sure it's going to be a big hit, and I expect to see your book in a big bookstore one day. It's a very it looks like a very awesome read.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for having me on.
No
And
worries.
yeah, don't forget if you can get down to the exhibit, the address is 112 Cumberland. It's up in Yorkville. It's about a 5 or 10 minute walk from the Royal Ontario Museum, so it's right down there. And if anyone can make it out on the 25th, grab me and say hi.
All right. Thanks a lot, Richard. Take care of
Okay,
yourself, sir.
thank you.
All
Bye,
right. Bye
Alan.
bye.